Hello. Sorry, you take 2 weeks off and you get off to a hot start. I'm Preston Poole. That's Tyler Adam. This is Unadvised here on the Sports Animal YouTube. I didn't even tag the Sports Animal on X, so it's not even popping up for me. We're off to a hot start, off to a roaring start.
We're rusty.
Yes, we are. So while I try and find this, we will introduce T-Bag. Tyler Adams, how are you doing? Long time no see. How are you doing?
I am doing good. I am. There's kind of feel like there's a lot going on right now, Preston.
Yes.
I mean, a lot with recruiting. I know we're going to get into with OU and OSU, Bedlam baseball, play-in, playoffs. Thunder wrapped up their season, so it's a fun time of year. And with all that said, last night, Preston, was a good reminder that the days of sports just slowly fizzling out until we get full force into football again are upon us.
Yes, it is. Thunder wrap up their season, 68-14, the final record for them. I believe they won 15 out of their last 17 games. Obviously dropping those 2 in a row, one to the Rockets and one to the Lakers, but they end on I guess you could say a high note. They didn't really play anybody at the end of the season. Rested a bunch of guys, and the teams that they played just weren't good. Anyways, so
I was looking at the box score on Friday against the Jazz because I was in Stillwater for the concert.
Yeah,
so I was able to watch the game. So during a little intermission, I was like, I'm gonna check the box score real quick, and I saw Jay Will the triple double.
Yes.
Obviously, know the Thunder players. I look at the Jazz to see who they're playing.
Nobody.
Didn't know one guy. Didn't know one guy that was playing for the Jazz.
They didn't put up much of a fight. Neither did the team they played before that. I'm blanking at this point on who that was. But yeah, it's all over with. Now we just await who the Thunder are going to play in the first round. And we'll get into the Thunder here in just a little bit because I've got some questions for Tyler and all that. But right now, let's go ahead and get into some college football because some news coming out just here, in the last hour, 30 minutes, something like that. That Oklahoma picks up 2 guys out of the transfer portal. Jaden Ott, running back from Cal, and I'm going to butcher this other guy's last name, and I apologize, but Jake Mayakula, I believe is how you say his last name, an offensive lineman from Stanford. Jaden Ott, the running back, though, from Cal, last year banged up, had an ankle sprain, and as soon as I saw this, I immediately ran to YouTube and was watching highlights and trying to see anything that I could about this guy. Had 1,305 yards in 2023, along with 12 touchdowns. He was an All-American and the Pac-12 leading rusher in 2023. So last year, again, had a sprained ankle and was banged up most of the year. So didn't play too much. I think he had 116 carries or something like that last season. But now he makes his way to Oklahoma, where they have a pretty decent back. From what I was watching, now look, I only saw the highlights, right? I didn't watch any of the lowlights or anything like that, but a guy that likes to get downhill, can do it both ways out of the backfield, catching and running. So I think a pretty decent addition to the Oklahoma team that looks to be, it's hard
Optimism
to be
growing. Optimism growing, Preston.
We'll see. I mean, it's hard to, be as bad as you were last season, right? Because I think in my 20 plus years of watching Oklahoma football, that was the worst football team I'd ever seen play at Oklahoma, offensively at least. So it's hard to get down to that level, but I mean they're going to be much improved on offense this upcoming season.
Yeah, and get with the alt kid from Cal. It really just goes to show, I think, Preston, that the Javonte Barnes, Gavin Sawchuk dream is maybe kind of dying out. Not to say they can't be good college backs, but I mean, Javonte's looked like he's not going to live up to the hype. I mean, Gavin, there's only so much he could do behind that offensive line last year, but the fact they're going out in the spring portal and getting Ott, which he sounds like a guy, I don't know much about him, obviously, but, you look at his resume, it's a pretty good resume. I think kind of goes to show that it's they're moving on kind of from what they hoped maybe that could have been, and really submitting an RB1 here.
And when they had a guy today, Sam Franklin, hit the portal, obviously didn't play too much last year for the Sooners, but he hit the portal. I was driving home earlier today listening to Al and Jim, and it sounds like Taylor Tatum might be a guy that could either enter the portal or just stick with baseball, something like that for him. So, yeah, I mean, they needed to add a running back, and they went out and they got the best running back in the portal. So they end up with one of the best quarterbacks in the portal and one of the best running backs in the portal. So all those people down south of the Red River that keep claiming that Oklahoma is broke and Oklahoma has no money. Turns out that is not the case, and Oklahoma has plenty of money. They battle with Cal on this? Yes. NIL wise, I think that's a pretty easy battle for most teams in the SEC to win, right? But they still went out and they won a NIL money battle. Go get a guy that they really wanted and really liked, and it's just they bring in the new GM and
that's what I was going to say. It's just the beginning for him.
Yeah, and his first go at it, and seems like he's hitting the ball out of the park right now.
So far, so good. And then going north to Stillwater, OSU got a commit yesterday. Marshall wide receiver Kristen Fitzpatrick. No relation to Curtis. And then an hour ago, Hayes Fawcett of On3 put out Oklahoma State's just got a commit from App State transfer offensive tackle Markel Samuel. So still trying to fill and fix the offensive line. So a couple good gets for both the Sooners and the Cowboys. And I think optimism is kind of growing in the state. I don't think OSU fans are necessarily thinking, this upcoming season is going to be, all that great. I think everyone's hoping to make a bowl game again, go 7-5, be competitive. But with the new coaching staff, and looks like OSU's really trying to take a front, trying to get as much NIL money as they can, and going at it. There is some optimism, I would say, that's growing in Stillwater as well, more so for the future than the very, very current future.
Yeah, and look, I think guys like that is what Oklahoma State needs to go and try to build a roster, right? Some of the lower level schools that maybe they have 3 years of eligibility left that Mike Gundy can go and kind of mold to the way that he likes, because that's what he's good at doing, right? He's good at having the guys that stay there for 3-4 years, and he just kind of builds them up into good football players. So I think that's good for Oklahoma State and being able to do that. And plus, you would probably know more about their NIL budget, but those guys are going to be a lot more affordable. Than getting guys out of the SEC or Big Ten, stuff like that.
I mean, I think no one really knows what OSU's budget is.
That is very true.
No one really knows. I do think it's not terrible. Like, it's obviously not a top big boy. Don't get me wrong, but as I always say, there's some rich farm folks that were just ag majors that live out in Western Oklahoma that have all the money in the world. You never guess it.
Yeah.
And just maybe, they might just get bored one day and write a check here and there. It's kind of just how it goes. But they're trying they're trying and, doing the concert, just this, I know Steve Lutz is a big advocate of him personally, trying to attempt instead of, Weiberg and all that, trying to do that. So I think the optimism is growing. And did you also see the little mini breaking news from Stillwater?
I did. Yes, I saw that.
Mike Getty's bringing the spring game back.
When everyone zigs, Mike Gundy zags.
He took the spring game away 5 years ago. It was like, I'm gonna, he was as he'll call himself sometimes, Nostradamus or Notre Dame. It's Nostradamus, but he says Notre Dame.
Yeah.
And this is just another one. He took the spring game away. Then everyone stopped. He's like, no, you know what? You guys are not going to follow my lead. I'm going to go back to spring games. So typical Mike Gundy fashion, just zigging and zagging, like you said.
That was because I was surprised. Plus, he picked one of the best days of the year where we're supposed to get 4 inches of rain over like a 4 to 8 hour period. So
I think there's a chance it could be the following weekend, because I still think that they have like 2 or 3 more practices left after this week.
Okay.
So I haven't seen a date on it, so I don't know for sure. Maybe there is one. I haven't seen one. But I do think there's a chance it might be the following weekend. But it could be the Saturday. It could be. I don't know.
Let's hope it's next weekend, because, we're supposed to get a lot of rain this weekend, and that would not be very conducive of having a decent crowd out there at the spring game. Speaking of crowds at spring events, woof, did Oklahoma swing and miss on their little spring combine, because I think maybe 5,000 people were there. It was not a very big crowd. It's crazy to go from having a spring game last year where 50,000 people are at, to having this combine event where maybe one neighborhood of Norman shows up to fill up the stadium. It was not a good look. And again, I don't agree with schools going away from the spring game. I think that just makes you sit back and think like, man, these guys are scared. And I don't like when teams play scared, right? Don't go out and play scared, because that's what it seems like all these big time schools are doing. And even Alabama, who they almost fill up their stadium every year, right, for their spring game. They did kind of the same thing Oklahoma did, and they had just about the same turnout at Alabama, which is, I mean, you always see the videos every year of those nuts sprinting into the stadium to go and get the best seats available, and they just didn't have a very good turnout either. So I know Kale went on a rant the other day on the Sports Animal about this, but yeah, it's kind of a loser move in my opinion to not have spring games.
It's just the way college football's going. You know who wish didn't have a spring game, Preston, this year?
That'd be
Tennessee.
Tennessee, yes.
Yeah. Do you want to talk about that a little?
Yeah, let's. I have that on here for our college football. Yeah,
there's just more and more coming out. Tulane, said they're out of the running it today. North Carolina yesterday.
It's crazy.
They're saying, his NIL valuation is now, maybe $1 million.
Yeah. Well, there's schools. Yeah. I think On3 came out and said there's schools out there that are waiting until he drops his, request down to around $1 million. Then they'll go jump on that. This is a classic case. And by the way, if you don't know by now, you probably should, but Nico Iamaleava, or Nico Iamaleava, as a lot of people are saying, decides to hit the portal because Tennessee didn't want to give him $4 million when he was already on a $2 million contract there at Tennessee.
And he wasn't great.
No, he threw 19 touchdowns last year, T-Bag.
Yeah, this is a defensive-led team.
9 of those touchdowns were in the SEC. 4 of those came against Vanderbilt. So that means he only threw 5 touchdowns against other SEC schools.
Yeah, and I mean, he stat padded. I remember that Kent State game. I mean, they had like 70 points in the first half or whatever it was. I mean, they stat padded those first major games. And I remember whenever OU played him, he started off, pretty good. And then once OU's defense settled in,
they had to run the ball.
Shut him down. They shut him down.
They had to run the football against Oklahoma because he just was not productive. I remember watching the game coming away thinking, I don't think Nico's as good as everyone says he is. It turns out that I'm not going to say that I was right because, who knows what he does at his next school. But
that's another thing. It's like, you're going to enter the spring portal now when you aren't going to have spring ball.
I guess he tried to hit the portal during the playoffs.
Yeah. And they're like, well, wait to have this conversation.
Yeah.
I mean,
it's a classic case of his dad, who is his agent, thinks that his son is better than he actually is and has gotten into his son's head. Because look, as much as we all want to think that, our dads wouldn't get into our heads. If our fathers came up to us and were like, hey, we can get you a lot more money somewhere else doing sports radio, we'd be like, we'd listen, right?
Yeah.
I mean, that would be our intuition, is to listen. And I think Nico just went full on like, yeah, Dad, you're completely right. I'm way better than what Tennessee thinks I am. I'm worth way more money, when the reality is he probably wasn't even worth the $2 million that they gave him, right? I would put him around about $1 million. I think that's like the going rate for a decent quarterback in college football, is about $1 million a year.
Yeah. And it's just an all-time bad business decision. And I hope players just look at this and just be like, if you got it good somewhere, grass ain't always greener. Grass ain't always greener. And I think Nico's going to be a good case of that, because you don't think he was wishes he was still at Tennessee, because he still had 3 more years of eligibility, technically, getting $2 million a year. If you're not an NFL quarterback, you can just stick it at Tennessee. And I guess technically they can cut you at any given point, but just stick there this year and make $6 million in those 3 years, dude. That's money that can, if you play your cards right, that's money that can last you the rest of your life. And now, you just made $1 million, or maybe even $2 million decision right there. That's going to cost you. And plus, if you're talking the NFL too, it's going to be a lot harder to get to the NFL now, because you're going to get to a lesser program. You're going to have to change systems. You're not going to be with Josh Heupel. And
this is like a black eye on his resume too for NFL teams, because I mean, we've all seen the stories about how NFL teams just grill guys, in the combine, or the pre-draft workouts and interviews and stuff like that. So it was just an all-time dumb, stupid move by Nico and his family to think that his value was way more than what it actually was. I think if, they would have went out and asked anyone, plus his dad going out and saying that Pete Nakos of On3 was stupid. That was so dumb. which, by the way, that landed Pete Nakos a new deal with On3, so shout out to him. But it's just it's so dumb that these, and I get it, these big time quarterbacks let their parents or their dad get way too involved in, you know, their stuff, and they believe them, and it just screws them over. We see it time after time, and now it's just magnified with you know, players getting paid and all that stuff. So yeah, dumb move. We'll see where he lands. I thought, you know, Tech might be a good place for him to land, Texas Tech, but now Texas Tech says they're standing pat with their quarterback. I'm blanking on his name. He was banged up last year. I don't know why I can't remember his name.
I can't think of it either.
Yeah, and then you said UNC. Everything pointed to him going to UNC. UNC backs off. Tulane backs off today. It's like
Tulane backs off.
If Tulane,
an American Athletic Conference backs off.
Yes, so we'll see. I mean, you know, again, if he lowers his numbers, you know, maybe he'll land somewhere. You know, maybe we can get him $1 million and some cheese fries from Eskimo Joe's, and he can end up in still.
I don't want him.
No,
we've already got 4 options. We don't need a 5th.
We know Mike Gundy likes playing a lot of quarterbacks early in the season, so you know, you never know.
We're gonna keep thoughts of him as a Preston.
Yeah. Anyways, all right. You got anything else on college football before we get into the Thunder?
I think we've got it all.
All right. Yeah, that was pretty interesting stuff. So, by the way, we'll keep seeing what it sounds like. Oklahoma now, at least Pete Nakos of On3, and I saw George Stoya retweeted it as well. That they're looking for a tight end now. So we'll see if the Sooners can get them a tight end. Clearly, big spenders in the spring portal are the Oklahoma Sooners. All right, NBA, the Oklahoma City Thunder finished the season 68-14. They will either play the Warriors, Grizzlies, Kings, or Mavericks in the first round. The Warriors and Grizzlies play here in about 2 hours, I think, 9 o'clock-ish, 9:30, something like that on TNT. And then Kings and Mavericks play tomorrow on ESPN, I believe, around the same time. So we'll see. But Sunday, that'll be the first playoff game in Oklahoma City. So it's we've been wanting it for about a month now, and it's finally just around the corner.
It's crazy, Preston. Like we watched this team for 82 games. Every time
83, but we don't count that one.
82 games. Not to say I get emotional. That's dramatic to say, but I get a little sentimental every time the regular season wraps up because it's a journey. It's a 6-month long journey, and I mean I can only imagine how the players feel about it. They're obviously locked in for the playoffs, but that last regular season game, you kind of watch it like, wow, I just watched this team play for 82 games. It was historic. It was record breaking. It was amazing to watch what they did, and now it's time. Now it's we've known since October this team was going to be at least a top 3 team in the West, probably the 1 seed again. I mean, we've known that since October. As long as they stayed healthy, they were probably going to be the 1 seed.
Which they weren't healthy at all.
Yeah, that's another thing. How about this? As long as Shea stayed healthy, which is all that needed to happen because he's that good. And you watch him, go through the injuries. You watch him play small. You watch him play big. All these different lineups. You watch guys like Aaron Wiggins score 40 points in a game. J-Dub get his first 40-point game. SG have a 50-point season. Hartenstein, the addition of that. See Cason Wallace making a year 2 lead. Lou Dort having one of the out of all the great defensive seasons he's had, arguably his best defensive season. In contention for Defensive Player of the Year. And now it's time. Now it's time to enter the playoffs and prove to everyone that regular season is not a fluke and they are the best team in the NBA. And
it was kind of one of those things, Sunday, the last game of the season against the was the Jazz, right? I'm completely
Sunday was Pelicans.
It was the Pelicans. My bad. Yeah, Friday was the Jazz. That last game against the Pelicans on Sunday, it's kind of like, all right, once it's over, now throw everything that just happened the last 6 months, throw that in the trash, and let's start all over again because none of that matters here. Come next Sunday in the first round of the playoffs, and everyone knows that. And Mark Daigneault, I know, knows that. He talked about that after the game. He said, all that stuff that we did this regular season was nice, but now that doesn't matter because going forward, we're going to be in the playoffs and no one's going to care what we did in the regular season. And I completely agree. Whatever you did in the regular season doesn't matter. It's now time to show up in the playoffs and get things done and go out and win an NBA title.
It's nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
It's nerve-wracking. So are we Team Warriors tonight? Against our better judgment?
I think the Warriors will win, and they'll go on and play the Rockets. I think it'll be probably Mavericks, Grizzlies, and I think the Grizzlies win, and the Thunder end up playing the Grizzlies.
I'm obviously rooting to not play the Warriors because any team with Steph Curry and playoff Jimmy Butler is just scary, and having a veteran team like that's not going to be afraid of the Thunder is a scary first round.
I still don't think they want to play the Thunder round one though.
But
like they want to win this game tonight with however they can.
With that said, they're an old team. They're all in their mid-30s. I mean, you got Pajimski, he's like 27, but their stars are in their mid-30s. And they had to play a dogfight against the Spurs on Friday that they lost. They had to play a dogfight against the Clippers that they lost. Tonight will be a dogfight, and if they were to lose tonight and have to play Friday and another dogfight, bringing those guys into Oklahoma City, 4 intense games in 9 days, compared to a Thunder team where all their core guys are going to have 10 days of rest. I embrace that. I mean, I think the Thunder would win that in 5. I mean, yes, Steph Curry would probably win you a game, maybe 2 games. He'd probably win you a game, keep a game close that the Thunder would just have to pull out. But those other 3 games, I think the Thunder would have it. So that's 3-1 right there. And then I think they're being tight, 5th game somewhere in there. And as long as the Thunder win that, I think they gentlemen sweep the Warriors. And so with that said, with the exposure you get, I kind of embrace it. I want the Warriors to win tonight. I'd rather not play them, but I will full on embrace if the Thunder play the Warriors because they don't frighten me.
Yeah, I think best case scenario is you play the Grizzly or Mavericks. Best case scenario would be the Mavericks or the Kings, right?
Kings is absolute best case scenario.
Yeah,
for sure.
So I think that's an easy sweep for the Thunder because I don't even think the Kings want to be in the playoffs.
They don't play defense for the life of them.
Yeah,
and the Thunder, it's like that would just be such a confidence booster for the rest of the playoffs.
But if we're assuming the top 2 teams in this play-in tournament, the Grizzlies and the Warriors are going to make it into the playoffs, I would say you want to play the Grizzlies over the Warriors because I think the Warriors are a decent team. They play decent defense. They've been one of the better defensive teams in the league since they added Jimmy Butler. But again, like you said, they are old. So we'll see how that goes. So that'll
Jimmy's beat up right now too.
Yeah,
he got kneed hard in the thigh the other day.
Yeah, so let's get another knee to that thigh if they end up playing. So
no serious injuries, but some nice bruises.
Yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out. That'll be what you said Friday. That all wraps up. So we'll see how that goes. Does having guys not play for a full about week and a half, does that worry you?
Nah.
Yeah, I mean,
they might be rusty for game 1. They were rusty last year against the Pelicans for game 1, still won the game. I mean, it was a close game. It was a tight game, 2-point win. But no, I mean, they might be rusty for the first half or the first game, but after that, they'll be back in the full swing.
I had this conversation with Gideon Hamilton on Sunday. He said, are you worried, about guys sitting out for a week and a half? I said, the only way I'm worried about these guys sitting out a week and a half is if they're sitting on their ass every day and playing video games and not shooting a basketball, right? I mean, these guys these are NBA guys that are going and practicing. They're, playing one-on-one, doing whatever in practice. And Mark Daignault even came out and said, these are going to be the toughest practices we've had all season. So, and there's no worry for me because again, like if they were going out and just eating, like I eat, then I would be worried, right? But they're not sitting on their butts constantly.
So. They're locked in. They're locked in. I think they probably cut off the booze too. Like they've probably been like, "Hey, no more alcohol until we win a championship."
Exactly. David on Facebook said, "I'm not a Thunder fan, but I hope they make a run in the playoffs and get the title. My basketball season ended when Wemby got hurt, but I did enjoy Texas Tech making it to the final or Elite 8, even though they lost to the Florida Gators." Look, I think San Antonio going forward is going to be team that's in the playoffs year in and year out.
We really want the Hawks to win tonight so they can just get in the playoffs and the Spurs don't have an extra chance at the lottery.
Yeah, That's
So because the Spurs have the Hawks chance. Sorry, David. Sorry. But as a fellow Western Conferencer and a guy that you already have good draft capital and Wemby, you don't need any more right now. Leave that to the Thunder. Leave that to the Thunder.
I also have a deep hatred of the San Antonio Spurs.
I have like a respectful hatred of them.
Yeah, I
Because
guess
the Thunder are modeled
yeah.
around the Spurs. Like they're modeled around the Spurs.
I guess that would be my take too. By the way, right now, about 4 minutes left in the second quarter, the Magic are up 52-33. So I don't think the Hawks will be winning tonight unless they make about a 20-point comeback. So we'll see. Which team in the West does worry you though about the Thunder, whether that be second round, first round, or even in the conference finals?
The Clippers round 2, man.
Yeah,
that's a scary matchup.
I think that's good. Another old team though. Like
they are, but they've been playing really good lately. Kawhi's healthy, playing great. They're I think they're number 1 in net rating in the last month of the season. I mean, they're a really good team. I obviously think the Thunder would beat them, but that is a scary second round matchup for sure. And then obviously, the Lakers. I think in the West Finals if they're to get there. But right now, I would say round 2 for me is the scariest one.
And that could be the Clippers, like you said. Who are they playing again? Denver. Yeah, Denver. So many question marks, obviously, with them firing their coach. So I'm not really quite sure. By the way, the Thunder
they have no bench either.
Yeah, they don't. By the way, Thunder went undefeated against the Clippers this season. So again, we'll see though. Kind of a different team since Kawhi is fully healthy, and same with James Harden and all that stuff. So.
And they still don't scare me. I just think that'd be a 6-game dogfight right there with some tight games in there, like all very close games. But I do think the Thunder would pull out in 6.
Any worries about the Rockets? Because for me, the Rockets, I think they're a very good defensive team, but offensively, it's too much basketball for them. And I don't know if they could. Again, they beat the Thunder a couple of weeks back, but I don't think they can keep up with the Thunder in a 7-game series.
Yeah, and if you tell me right now, because the only way the Thunder play the Rockets in these playoffs is in the Western Conference Finals. If you tell me right now you get a Thunder Rockets Western Conference Finals, I think anyone takes that any day of the week.
Oh, 100%.
So yeah, no fear here from the Rockets.
Yes, 100%. So let's talk about some of those. Well, I got a couple more questions actually for you. So which player outside of Shea do you think needs to step up if Oklahoma City wants to win it all?
J-Dub. I think it's without a doubt J-Dub. I mean, Chet, I think he is what he is for this season, not going forward. I still have a lot of Chet Holmgren stock, but for this season, I think he is what he is, and that's okay because they played so much with Hartenstein, and I think Hartenstein does have has played in big playoff games, has played in intense playoff environments. I think he's I know he's only 26 years old, but for this team, he's a veteran-laced guy. I trust him to step up. I trust guys like Wiggins and Joe to step up and make their shots. The pressure's not really on them immensely. I expect guys like, I don't think Casey Wallace even cares kind of thing. Like he's like, it's basketball. I'm going to go out and play basketball. Lou Dort, I think, is going to have a big playoff run. To me, it's J-Dub. J-Dub has pressure on him this year to perform well in the playoffs, because if he does it, it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough if J-Dub doesn't perform well in the playoffs.
It's and if like he does, last year.
I don't think anyone can beat this team.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big, not the only reason, but that's a big reason that they lost to the Mavericks in the second round last year, is that J-Dub and a lot of the other guys, I mean, they shot historically well from 3 last year, all season, the Thunder did. And then, they beat the hell out of the Pelicans, swept them in 4 games. And then, you run into the Mavericks in the second round, and the Mavericks were historically great from 3 in that second round. Obviously, they were one of the best teams in the NBA. They went to the NBA Finals. But J-Dub and a lot of the other guys just couldn't hit the broadside of a barn if they were standing right in front of the damn thing. It was just not good. So I agree with you. I think J-Dub is a guy that needs to go out and show out. I think you need to have him around 20-ish points a game. Mm-hmm. You need Shea to go out and average his 30. And I think you need a guy like Chet to go out and get about 15 or so a game. And then you need Ihart to go and get his double-double.
and then all that, and then you need one of Caruso, Wiggins, or Joe to give you any night. Just one of those three guys give you 12 points,
Yeah,
and
and
you do
I think
that,
those
and
guys can do it.
yeah, and
Which Isaiah Joe is shooting the ball really well right now, so I really
very
like
well,
that at the moment. Yeah,
very well. But yeah, I mean, I definitely think it's Jada because with Chet didn't step up last year like we wanted to with the playoffs. I mean, you can't really criticize these guys. That was Chet's rookie season,
yeah.
So and Jada was 23 years old, so you can't really criticize him. I think we all kind of saw it coming in the back of our minds, like they're probably going to get into a series where they're just going to get men to Boyd pretty much.
Yeah.
But Chet last year, yeah, he didn't perform well in the playoffs, but I don't think the expectation is on Chet this year like it was last year. Plus, he has Isaiah Hardenstein making up for a lot of that dirty work. So
Yeah.
you
And
didn't
I
have
think
Isaiah Hardenstein last year.
another guy like Jay Will, who's playing very well at the moment, too, and has been really for like the last month and a half or so, has been playing really well for the Thunder. So, again, not all these guys, obviously the guys we just talked about, maybe Jay Will, I could see not getting in every single game, right? But some guys like Usman Jang isn't going to play really in the playoffs. Dylan Brooks, not Brooks, Dylan Jones isn't going to play in the playoffs. I think there's a spot potentially, maybe for a guy like AJ Mitchell. We'll see. But I think they're going to be down to about 10 players that they're going to play in the playoffs in their playoff rotation. So
Yeah.
we'll see. Last question I have for you on the Thunder, and then we'll get into a little bit of what happened Sunday in Augusta, because I thought that was really interesting. If the Oklahoma City Thunder win the NBA title, it's because, how would you finish that?
Defense wins championships.
It's because they're, and I can't disagree with that, because they've had one of the best defenses in the whole entire league all year. And I think you need to continue that in the playoffs. And look, again, they got called for the most fouls in the league this season. But I think that whistle, the refs are going to swallow the whistle like they normally do in the playoffs. And I think that is 100%. I think they need to come out and they need to keep playing that fiery defense we've seen them play all season long. And go out and get it done. So, anything else on the Thunder before we move on to some golf?
Man, there was something. Let's go to golf. It comes back to me. We'll get back to it.
And we'll do a full breakdown of the playoffs probably Thursday when we know a little bit more about who the Thunder could be playing and who the Cavs and Celtics and stuff like that could be playing. So we'll do that on Thursday. All right, yeah, the Masters on this last weekend. I know I was locked in on Sunday to that final round. I am not a big Rory fan, so I was rooting for the choke.
I was rooting for the choke.
he gave, and here's the thing about Sunday at the Masters, at least this last week, is that Rory, yes, he went out and he did win. He got the career Grand Slam, winning all 4 majors. Good for him. Only the 6th golfer in the history of golf to do that. That's a momentous, thing, a very big thing for golf and for Rory. But damn it, if he didn't try and give that tournament to whoever wanted to take it, I mean, it just seems that every corner he was like, especially the first 2 holes, he goes out and he goes what? Bogey, double bogey, I believe, on the first 2 holes. I can't remember exactly off the top of my head. Comes back to even with Bryson DeChambeau, who also just wanted no part of winning that tournament at all on Sunday either. And he just continued to try and give it away and give it away. And Justin Rose goes out and birdies 10 holes on Sunday and plays great golf and just comes up, just short on that playoff. But man, if Rory again just didn't try and give it to whoever the hell wanted to, it was crazy, and no one wanted to go out and take it.
So during the tournament, I was rooting for the choke big time.
Yeah.
And I think there's a big consensus for a lot of people. Because I don't hate Rory. I don't hate him.
I don't either, but he's just very unlikable.
He can be an arrogant ass sometimes, and that can just come off as unlikable and douchey. And just some of the stuff he's done, where it's, but whatever. He makes for good stories. Appreciate that. But I was definitely rooting for the choke. But once he won and overcame every demon he needed to overcome to win it, I was like, you know what, good for this guy.
Yeah.
I still wish we could go back, and he ends up choking. Like I do wish that, but
Well,
I I was happy for him because it's like that is like I can understand, how big of a
yeah.
deal this is.
It's like Big Cat said the other day. It's like, as haters, we have to at least tip our cap
Yeah,
to Rory
yeah.
for going out and winning it on that playoff hole. You have to at least tip your cap, and I agree, because as much as I wanted him to just choke it on that playoff hole, which he hit a great second shot on 18 there to put it within what, 3 feet, something
Yeah.
like that, to go out and hit that birdie putt to win it. And to even get inside of Justin Rose's shot was incredible. So again, shout out to Rory, but yeah, I was definitely rooting for the choke. And yeah, I just he went out and he did it. That's all I got.
It like you said, you just gotta tip your cap sometimes. I mean, like I've had to tip my cap twice lately. Not had to. I voluntarily chose to tip my cap to the Mavs fans whenever Luka came back. So like that does suck. Like I'm really sorry. Like
Yeah,
I can see how much you guys love him.
I still
Then I had to
not.
go back to hater Tyler. But yeah, I was kind of the same with Rory, where I was like, all right, I'm back to hater. Like he cannot. I don't want him to win anymore. I want there to, and it doesn't matter. That's the thing that sucks. Even if he chokes from here on out, it doesn't matter. He has a grand slam. But I want him to go back to choking and just be like, see.
Yeah. Now we need Ricky to go out and get a major. We'll see if that can ever happen.
I'm a hobbling guy through and through at this point.
Yeah, we'll see if he can do it. I think Ludwig Oberg has a better chance at the moment. But we'll
That's
see.
why golf's weird though, because we said that about Victor 2 years ago. We're like, oh, he's next. He's next.
Yeah.
And he hasn't done it yet.
Yeah.
And like I was saying with Ludwig, and I'm not saying he can't do it. I'm not saying Ludwig can't do it. It's just like it is just weird how golf is where it's like players hot for a season and players cold for a season,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, again, Rory was hot coming into this thing, and I forget where they're playing the next major at, but he's won there a couple times. So he's got
Hollow, right?
Yes, yeah. So he's got a good shot at winning, there. In what is that? The U.S. Open will be the next one.
I mean, Sam's called. I mean, Sam Humphries has said Rory's going to win 2 this year, and he's already got 1. I mean, he's 1 for 1 already. Yeah. So I wouldn't be shocked if Rory wins another. That's this season. This season.
I heard what Sam was calling Rory on that missed putt on 18 because he was up at the office while we were finishing up the Thunder recap. So
what was it?
I won't repeat it. But yeah, I think I had the same words along the lines of a choker is what I would say. But yeah, it was pretty funny stuff listening to Sam watch those final holes.
Yeah. That would have been great. I've always wanted to be with Sam. What if it like watching a big golf tournament or like the Eagles play or something. Yeah. I think it'd be pretty electric.
So that was good stuff. But yeah, again, I just thought Rory tried to give it to whoever wanted to take it, and no one wanted to take it. But good for him. He went out and he won the Masters and got that got all those I mean, you could just see after he hit that putt to win it where he just dropped to his knees on the ground. You were like, okay, well, whatever he's been dealing with for the last 11 years is finally gone now. He's done it, and we can move on. So Derek on Facebook says, where do y'all think Nico from Tennessee will transfer to? Seems like no one wants him. He's going to lose a lot of money. Yeah, I don't know. I got no clue because it does seem right now that no one wants him.
We talked about it a little earlier. It's Tulane, who's an American Athletic Conference. Tulane's good little program, but American Athletic Conference is out on him. So
they've backed up him. Yes.
No, I still think he'll be at a Power 4 school. But I think that kind of goes to show that his value is not nearly what he thought it was.
Yeah. Derek also says, are you going to the OSU spring game?
Derek, do we know when it is? Because if it's this weekend, I'll be in Tulsa all weekend. So no, I won't make it this weekend. Plus, looks like it's gonna be pretty bad weather. Following weekend, no, I'm not. What am I kidding? I'm not. Who am I kidding?
No, I agree with you.
Yeah,
I agree with you. Look, I even if I was not working this last Saturday, there's zero chance I was going to be in Norman.
I've never liked the spring game. The only reason I used to go is because you got players' autographs. And then once I was like 15, I was a little too old for that. I was like, never went back. So
yeah. And
then Saturday at 1, I will look. I would have definitely gone, Derek. I would have definitely been there. But I have a wedding in Tulsa on Saturday. I'm in the wedding, so I have to be there. But of course, I would have gone. I love spring games.
Yeah. Yeah. Anything else on your mind before we wrap this thing up?
No, just enjoy this week without any playoff stress. Just enjoy
Yes.
the limited sports and the little sports we do get.
Yeah.
Enjoy it
And
because it's on Sunday. It's we're going to war. We're putting the
yeah.
paint on and all.
Yes, 100%. So as of right now, unless there's a Thunder game on a Tuesday or Thursday, we will be back to our original schedule. Tuesdays and Thursdays will be live. Um,
I would say
who'd you say?
Zane Flores
Okay.
or Haas Henne, just because that's an awesome quarterback.
And the thing about Oklahoma State is, and you might know, but I have no clue what they're to expect from them. Yeah.
One of these guys is going to enter the portal after the spring, I'm sure, because there's 4 of them, and one of them's probably like, all right, I'm probably not going to get the starting job.
Yeah.
I would assume that this is just a guess. I don't have no inside information. If I had to take a guess, I would say it's Malaki Smith.
Yeah.
Because I think Rangel and Zane OSU is super high on still, and obviously Haas Henne, Doug Meacham made it a point of emphasis to poach him from TCU, and they did. So I think it's gonna be one of those 3 guys. With I think Malaki may enter the board, but I hope none of them do. But we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah,
no one knows.
We're still going to see if Flores is a real guy. I still have not confirmed that he's an actual guy.
He did an interview, but still could be AI until we see it. Until there's eyewitnesses.
Until he is on the field throwing a football for Oklahoma State.
And there are eyewitnesses there. You can't AI. You can't AI that. But you can AI a press conference.
Yes, you can. By the way, did you see the guy that was in court that did an AI lawyer?
Yeah. And they instantly realized it. They're like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, they're like, "Come on, pal."
So robotic.
All right, yeah. Like I said, we'll be back to our normal Tuesday, Thursdays, unless the Thunder have a playoff game on one of those days. Then we'll do that. And then I'm going out of town for a week in May for a wedding, so we'll miss that. But yeah, until then, we'll be back Thursday. Thanks for joining us. Have a great night, everyone. If I can remember how to do this. See ya.